Hi there, guys. Uh, this quick video this morning is about something I need to address because it bothers me a little bit that I'm beginning to see. Actually, it's not that I'm beginning to see. There's a lot that's going on in this country, in this society, in this culture and everything. I don't think personally, as a matter of fact, I know it's not all physical. It's not all surfaceable. It's not all everything that we see. There's a lot of undercover, a lot of backroom, backstage things going on, things being influenced, things that are being made and created, things that are already realized. And because people are beginning to, give a voice to it or say something about it, then it seems to make it seem as though, we're all coming to this great awakening of what's going on. That's true in some sense, but in a lot of sense, it's not. It's kind of one of those things that we know this country was founded and built on racism. We know that it was probably never meant for Black people to be equal, probably to be free, and to get ahead economically, or to ever outdo our captors, or those who we were supposed to be servicing probably for the rest of, this time or all time in this country. We know that. We know the foundation. We know. Everybody who's honest knows and who will admit. But it seems to me that people, and let me say this, I'm not taking up for Donald Trump. Not a fan of Donald Trump any more probably than anybody else. However, I think Donald Trump is being used as a scapegoat by a lot of people. And I think that things have gone on in this country for years and centuries that have been kept silent, kept quiet about, and it was just the way that things were, and it was the way things were going to be. People seem to feel as if Donald Trump is resurrecting some new something when he's not. It almost seems a little bit unfair to the man for us to throw all of racism on this dude, because Donald Trump didn't create racism in America. Donald Trump did not, this is not something that he began from the foundation and has just gone and run with it. Now, what he did do was he took that which was already there and just brought it up to the surface. He did do that, and we saw a lot of people rallying behind him for that. We know, some of us know, that he was elected, or we feel that we believe he was elected so that racism could now be free again, so that you can freely call people the N-word, so that you can freely be nasty to Muslims, to anybody who doesn't speak English. We see the videos, we see the upsurge, and I think that's a bunch of propaganda too, but we see the upsurge in the Black people being called niggers. We see the upsurge in them picking on Muslims. We see the upsurge in little Hispanic children and Hispanic families and so forth being threatened with deportation, and classroom teachers saying nasty, ugly, vile things that were not said before, or if they did say it, they would have just been fired on the spot. It wouldn't have been on YouTube and all this kind of stuff and made a big deal out of it. It just would have been that, you're gone, and nobody would have ever known. But because a lot of this stuff is coming out, and they're putting it on media and putting it on all these social networks and so forth, it seems more prevalent. It's not more prevalent. It's something that has always been. Black men have always gotten killed. Black men and women have always gotten killed in this country. And white officers, judges, whoever, have always let cops off. It's always been an unfair deal. Black men and women, Hispanics, those of color, have always been sentenced unfairly in this country. There was something else I was going to bring up that I can't remember what it was at the moment. But bottom line is, this is not a thing where Donald Trump has brought this stuff new to us. It's always been there, and like I say, on his campaign trail, we saw the ugliness of people. We saw pushing little girls. We saw spitting and hitting people. We saw this stuff from a society where they said everybody should be free. Everybody should be loved and welcomed and liked. And, we heard about cops and people tearing off hijabs of Muslim women, stripping them naked, humiliating them and all. I mean, we heard these things, and it was almost as if it was a free pass to be as nasty and ugly and racist and vile as you want to be. And it seems to me, because of that, and because of, we're going to deport all the bad people. We're going to, deport, the so-and-so group of people that we don't like and so forth. All of this stuff just seemed to work people up into a frenzy, into where the ugliness and the filthiness and the vileness of people came out. So my point in saying all of that is that now that it's happened, now that it is really a reality that Donald Trump really is the president, as much as people don't like it, as much as people are rallying and rioting and tearing up stuff and being hypocritical, even in that, because the way I see it, black people go, and if they were to vandalize a hair shop in their own neighborhood because of something that was done usually unfairly to them in their neighborhood, that gets national attention of how morally wrong it is. And you hear all the preachers coming out, and politicians are condemning the behavior. And even Obama gets on TV and talks about what a horrible, thuggish thing to happen and how you should not do this and so forth. But because we have a political candidate that most of them are the ones that there's the reason he's in office. And I see them tearing up downtown areas. I see them breaking into banks and tearing up ATMs and ripping up flags and crapping on flags and, hurting people and punching people and everything. In my opinion, that's a whole lot worse than tearing up a beauty supply or raiding a grocery store in your neighborhood where the people are probably hungry anyway. I'm not giving an excuse, but I'm just saying, you're tearing up police stations and knocking over police cars and burning things and things like this. Black people have never done things to that extent. And like I say, it's not nationwide. There is no condemning of it. White pastors are not coming out and speaking to the people and saying we need to not do this and we need to love and we need to turn the other cheek and Donald Trump is a human being and we shouldn't treat him like this and let's be Christian. And I mean, you don't hear the reprimand of what's going on that, and I feel is much worse than what black people do by, kicking over a sign or, like I said, breaking into a hair store or something like this. And I think we understand what I'm talking about. It just seems to me a very hypocritical. This whole country is just hypocritical, period. It's like many people have a license to be nasty and ugly right now, and it's okay. And now, like I say, that Donald Trump is now officially the president. Now people want to come out and speak against racism and speak against this and speak a bit against homosexuality and freedom and rights and women's rights and gay rights and everybody's rights and everything. But my point is, this stuff was already here. This stuff was already laying dormant. It's almost like a snake that has just been sitting there on the ground before he rises up and strikes. When he was sitting there on the ground, maybe contemplating what he was going to do, he was still dangerous before he rose up and now I'm finna strike. And that's how I see America. I mean, there was still racism. There was still prejudice against many, many people and groups. There was still underlying hate and things going on with people. I mean, it was still here. But now that it's rose up and struck, then everybody want to come and act like, oh, I'm against this. This is not our country. This is not right. This is not fair. But were you speaking before? were you speaking about all this stuff before Donald Trump came up or before it came to light? Back when other presidents were presidents and it was still racism and still unfairness to black people and unfairness to people of other groups and, other policies and other reforms and all of this stuff was still unfair and still racist. But now, like I say, that you have a person now who will, or who did, for the benefit of election, speak up on a more vocal note and bring that stuff to surface, and people loved it. See, now we're being hypocrites because now we want to try to act like, oh, nobody wanted Trump. Oh, nobody really liked the racism. Nobody liked him saying, that we're going to build walls and get rid of illegal aliens and, and people who don't look like us. Everybody wants to tuck tail and say, oh, well, I wasn't at the Trump rally spitting on people and hitting people and chanting. I wasn't throwing up Hitler signs and all this. You weren't? You sure? Because that's not what we were seeing. Now, oh, those people. Oh, Trump's so horrible. Oh, Trump did this. We're hypocrites. Everybody wants to speak up now. Everybody wants to combat racism. Everybody wants to, women's rights. Women, whatever women's rights that they're fighting for, because I'm not even in that. I don't know what the heck they're doing or what agenda they have or who's funding it. And I mean, you're already hearing a whole bunch of crap about it. I didn't even know that there was a women's march going on. But the fact of the matter is, whatever that is, didn't start with Trump. Whatever it is that you think that Trump is going to do to suppress women, now they're going to make laws that, all the men can start grabbing women by the vagina. Really, people, come on. Let's stop being delusional. Let's stop being irrational. We half of the crap that man was talking about was a bunch of hot air. Half of the stuff already we see that all the crap that he was talking about he was going to do, going to enforce, going to write into law, going to do, he's already reneging on half of it. And yeah, people are getting mad. Why? Because we thought we were going to go back to 1800s. And a lot of people were happy. And that's where that's what we need to acknowledge. Not everybody, now finally coming up and saying, oh, well, that wasn't me. I wasn't wearing a KKK hood 6 weeks ago before he got elected. You sure? So, like I say, I'm not trying to take up for Trump at all, but it angers me that now we want to jump on him and all of his this and Trump that and Trump. It's not Trump. Trump just brought to light and to surface all of the filthiness, the nastiness, the vileness, the blood, the hate, the anger, the resentment. I mean, how can this country have been built on all of that? And then now, all of a sudden, because there's new people, if we want to say that, then all of a sudden, well, it's not like that anymore. But the foundation is still there. When has the foundation changed? We still have laws on the books from back during times of slavery, from back during times of Jim Crow, from the 50s, from the 60s, from the 16, 17, 1800s that they can pull up and use anytime they want to. As long as it continues to work for them, they can if they want to. So let's not act like Trump has brought forth this nasty, horrible, vile, ugly, wicked thing. He didn't do that. It was already here. It was already here, and that's what needs to be dealt with, not the fact that he brought it to light or he resurrected it and people loved it. So we need to stop being hypocrites. Everybody has a problem now because of Trump. No. Whatever problems there was before Trump even took office or became elected or got nominated or just whatever was already here, just laying dormant, ready to step on the mousetrap. Mousetrap was already there. Just because you didn't see it or acknowledge it or turn the light on and you got your toe caught doesn't make the mousetrap bad. The mousetrap did what it was supposed to do. You guys have a great day. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Thank you for your comments. And until the next video, we'll see you next time.